all dream about alternate modernity. Like, you in the West screwed it up, we will do it in our way. But you know what they really want is to have capitalism without paying the price for it, with all the antagonisms and so on. I told the Chinese, I told them, you know, the Chinese, which means out of 1 billion, 6 million to 100 students. Okay, it wasn't that I was talking to the Chinese nation. I told them, you may talk the bullshit about harmonious society, but you will not get harmonious capitalism. And even in India, I discovered, to my horror, to what extent they, in a different way, played the same game as in China. They desperately tried to keep alive their even most reactionary Hindu caste system and so on traditions, to serve as a kind of a screen of meaning to enable you to confront capitalism. And of course, I think that this is a nice example of how even the critique of Western imperialism, cultural imperialism, serves a very obscure role of justifying their own way to legitimize their capitalism. And to cut the long story short, why am I so opposed to so-called alternate modernity? Because, you know, as I always repeat it, in Europe, we had one big alternate modernity in the 20th century. It was called fascism. Fascism was precisely alternate modernity. The idea was, fascism, the basic idea of fascism is we can have all good that capitalism brings, industrialization and so on, without paying the price for it in social antagonisms. That's why you need anti-Semitism. The idea is it's not in the system, and this is why, now I will say something horrible, I'm even a little bit distrustful about Hugo Chavez and so on. He comes often a little bit too close to it, namely, I don't have any big sympathy for American imperialism, but maybe the time has come to admit that thanks to the great efforts of your greatest president, George Bush, United States is, I mean, he really did a wonderful job. In 8 years, he succeeded in diminishing the role of United States to one, in a polycentric world, to one among other local powers, no? But what this means, I will tell you something horrible, but you should like it, is that, you know, it's no longer always absolutely automatically that United States are the bad guy. This also means a polycentric world, like with all my still admiration for China and so on. But you know, what the Chinese are doing in Myanmar, politically correct name for Burma, is also a form of new economic post-colonialism and so on. So, you know, we should try to approach in a different way. I think the danger today is, this is what really worries me, if you ask me, that anti-imperialist rhetorics can function as a tool to obfuscate the basic class struggle. Let me take the brutal example of Zimbabwe and, I hope not, South Africa. I have an extremely simple explanation, only the core explanation. What happened there is the following. I spoke with people in Zimbabwe, I wasn't there, from Zimbabwe, South African friends. What really happened after the end of apartheid in South Africa? It is that the standard of living experience of ordinary people, it's basically the same as under apartheid. Maybe in some tiny circles a little bit better, but at the same time worse, because there is much more uncertainty, crime, and so on. The only thing that really changed is that you have a new black rich class which joined the white class. Now, to counter the disappointment of the ordinary people, the big temptation of and to obfuscate the class struggle, the big temptation of the new black ruling class is to play the race card. Is to claim you are no better because we are really still enslaved to Western imperialism, blah, blah, blah. No, sorry, I disagree here. I claim this is the worst attempt. This is why I tried to give Mugabe a chance. I spoke with my friends there, and they told me, who are leftists, radical, and they told me, no, unfortunately, critique of Mugabe is not just Western media attacking. Zimbabwe is the pure case of this. The new black elite playing the race card in order to avoid precisely the new class confrontation. And if this will be the future, this nationalist regimes and so on, then it's really sad. We really need what you said, confronting capitalism at its own level, outside these particular frames, against this, against that, and so on, and so on. But maybe we talk too much.
No.
Tu veux conclure avec un grand mot? No.
No.
We were, is it 5? We were 3 hours. We are approaching these long Maoist sessions, you know, of self-criticism and so on.
I think I ran in Cuba, right?
Sorry?
In Cuba, go all night.
In Cuba, it's even, but this is why French call me Fidel, you know, like, I talk too much, but in Cuba, no, it's better there. When I was there, Fidel gave a speech which lasted 2 hours, and everybody was in a panic, like, is he dying or what, you know? Usually it's 6, 7 hours. No?
I want to remind you all that Slavoj and Alain and Frederick Jameson and a whole roster of other wonderful speakers will be at our Wagner conference on June 1st and 2nd at the Hammer Museum. And please join us, come early. And once again, let's thank them for the great discussion.
Très bien, mon cher.
No, but,